Hey Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Kane Carafine is a new Piston Cup racer who will be attempting to qualify for the first time this race. And Joel McQueen, Lightning McQueen's brother, is now a backup racer. And Rex Revler accidentally wrecked a bunch of cars during practice. And everyone involved is now out this race. Jamie McCurry got into a tire fight with Rex Revler after this crash. And Ernie Gearson didn't have enough fuel for qualifying. Now, how did qualifying go? Brick Yardley will start at pole position with Lightning McQueen to his outside. Row 2 has Cal Weathers and Martin Carricks Jr. to his outside. Now on to row 3, where Phil Tankson will start on the inside of row 3. And Bobby Swift will start to his outside. Row 4 has 2 red and white cars, Kevin Carvick and James Gearson. Row 5 has Bad Brad Kozlowski and Jamarcus Kakart to his outside. Now, on to row 6, where Kurt Bushtire will be starting alongside Casey Corner to his outside. Row 7 has Greg People, who started from this position last race, and Billy Carjoy to his outside. Row 8 has Jimmy Cables, who won one race this season, and Maury Clutchburn, who last won in 2011. Row 9 has Sebastian Silva and the Rocket Ryan Newcar. I wonder if he'll rocket to the front this race. Row 10 has Chip Gearings and Ralph Carlo making his first start this season. Row 11 has TG Castlenet and Dale Earnhardt Jr. I wonder how they'll do this race. Row 12 has Clint Bokar, who's had an underwhelming season so far, and Todd Marcus, who's outside. Row 13 has Ricky Axel and Kyle Carson to his outside. Now, onto row 14, where Arthur Carstro will start on the inside with Carl Clutchin to his outside, and row 15 will have Rev Rodages starting alongside Jack DePost. Row 16 has the jumper Doug Throttleman with Samuel Serpentino making his first start this season. Row 17 has Brian Sparks and Bobby Rotesta starting on his outside. Row 18 has 2 cars, both making their first start this season, Bogart Hopscotch and Juan Carlos Martinez. Row 19 has Marcus Kranksler and Ernie Gearson, who miraculously qualifies for this race. Same with Darren Ledfoot and Dino Draftski, starting in row 20. Row 21 has Floyd Movelhill and Ace Arrowhead making his second start this season. And starting in 43rd is Ryan Thunderbolt Jr., who surprisingly qualifies ahead of these 7 cars, among many others, who failed to qualify for this race. Brick Yardley would lead the first 7 laps of the race before losing the lead to Lightning McQueen, who would lead until lap 15, before Brick Yardley would retake the lead on lap 15, leading for 4 more laps. But Brad Kozlowski would be 9th as of lap 19, where he wrecks Casey Corner, who's now out for 3 races. Bobby Swift will take the lead after the restart and lead until lap 23. But Bad Brad Kozlowski would fail to wreck Ralph Carlo on lap 22. And then Phil Tankson would fail to wreck Bad Brad Kozlowski the next lap. And then James Gearson would push Brad Kozlowski on lap 23. And then Brad Kozlowski would fall down to 26th. And then he would wreck Ryan Newcar, who's now out for the season. And here is what Ryan Newcar said after his crash. Darren Ledfoot would take the lead after the restart and lead until lap 28. But during that time, Dino Draftski would push Sebastian Silva on lap 24. And then Sebastian Silva would be 30th as of the next lap, where he wrecked Dino Draftski, who is now out. But Aiden Shiftwright would prepare to come onto the track to replace Dino Draftski, but this replacement is illegal, so Piston Cup officials did not allow it. The reason being that Dino Draftski had already wrecked out, and Sebastian Silva would be out on lap 26 because of a hard crash into the wall, and Brad Kozlowski would be 21st as of lap 28, where he wrecks Bogart Hopscotch, Juan Carlos Martinez, Rev Rodages, Bobby Rotesta, Greg People, who's now out next race, and Clint Bokar, who is also out next race. Piston Cup fans would boo Bad Brad Kozlowski and Clint Shiftwright would give Brad Keselowski a warning. And then Lightning McQueen would take the lead after the restart and lead until lap 52, where he'd lose the lead to Cal Weathers, who would lead for 31 laps until lap 83, where Lightning McQueen would retake the lead. He would lead all the way until lap 102, where Brick Yardley would take the lead. He would lead for 35 more laps, but in the meantime, Ernie Gearson would be out because of engine failure on lap 137. Darren Ledfoot would take the lead after the restart and lead until lap 160, where Ralph Carlo would take the lead. He would lead for 3 laps before Darren Ledfoot would return to the lead, leading all the way until lap 174 for a total of 11 laps before Cal Weathers would retake the lead. He would lead until lap 189, but James Gearson would take the lead on lap 189, leading until lap 197, where Darren Ledfoot would take the lead. He would lead all the way until lap 215. Brad Keselowski would be second as of lap 215, where Darren Ledfoot, that's gross! And now, both he and Brad Keselowski are now out. Piston Cup fans, cheer the news. Cheering Darren Ledfoot and Sammy Smelter, who really stinks, says this. Why did Piston Cup officials even let him in? And an anonymous Piston Cup fan said this to Sammy Smelter. I mean, he is right. Sammy Smelter should take a car wash. I'm also pretty sure that Darren Ledfoot has taken a car wash before. Cal Weathers would take the lead after the restart and lead for the next 10 laps before losing the lead to Lightning McQueen, who would lead for 12 more laps before losing the lead to Ralph Carlo, who would lead all the way until lap 244, where the caution would come out once again because Samuel Serpentino had an engine failure on lap 244. And Ralph Carlo was almost caught in the wreck, but Ralph Carlo would not be out. And James Gearson would take the lead after the restart, leading all the way until lap 273, where Kevin Harvick would take the lead. He would lead for 6 laps before Brick Yardley would take the lead once again, leading all the way until lap 284. The previous lap, Brian Sparks would be out because of engine failure. And then, on lap 284, Phil Tankson would take the lead, leading all the way until lap 322. In the meanwhile, Don Throttleman would jump over Lightning McQueen on lap 297. And then, Brad Keselowski would be 6th as of lap 301 when he wrecks Lightning McQueen. Why, Brad Keselowski? And this would lead Piston Cup fans to boo Brad Keselowski. And Roger Pancake said this. Roger Pancake is right. And Ralph Carlo would take the lead on lap 322, but lose the lead on lap 335 to Cal Weathers, who would lead for 3 laps before losing the lead to Jimmy Cables, who would lead all the way until lap 346, where Kevin Harvick would retake the lead, leading for another 5 laps before Bobby Swift would retake the lead and lead for 10 more laps. But Ricky Axel would take the lead on lap 361 and lead for 2 laps before Brick Yardley would retake the lead. He would lead for 7 laps before Ralph Carlo would retake the lead. He would lead for 2 laps before losing the lead to Dale Earnhardt Jr., who would lead for 2 laps. But on lap 374, Chip Gearings would take the lead, and he would lead for just 2 laps. And then Don Throttleman would jump over Ralph Carlo on lap 374. On lap 375, T.G. Castlenut would take the lead. He would lead for 2 laps before Cal Weathers would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 394, where Ace Arrowhead would accidentally wreck Ryan Thunderbolt Jr., Ralph Carlo, and himself, leading to a caution. But Ralph Carlo would not be out. And then Ace Arrowhead stops being Tony Gasworth's backup racer. He'll have to look for another backup racer now. And Jimmy Cables would take the lead after the restart, leading until lap 404, where Cal Weathers would retake the lead, leading for 28 more laps before James Gearson would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 464, where Ralph Carlo would retake the lead, leading all the way until lap 487, where Brick Yardley would retake the lead. He would lead the next 9 laps before James Gearson would take the lead On lap 496, he would lead for 3 laps before Jack the Post would take the lead on lap 499. But right before the white flag, Jack the Post would run out of fuel. Oh no! This would lead Ricky Axel to take the lead, and he would lead the field to the checkered flag and win the 2016 BnL 500, getting his very first career victory, and the first time that Rev & Go has won a race since 2007 with Misty Motocross. James Garrison would finish second this race, followed by TG Castlenet in third, Kevin Carvick in fourth, Brick Yardley fifth, Jamarcus Cakehart sixth, Jamie Cable seventh, Dale Earnhardt Jr. eighth, Cal Weathers ninth, and Ralph Carlo surprisingly rounding out the top 10. Chip Gearings would be the last car to finish on the lead lap this race, finishing 25th. Now here are the race results. I already went over the top 10, which is a little bit weird, but who missed out on the top 10? Bobby Swift finished 11th, just barely ahead of Doug Throttleman in 12th. Phil Tankson in 13th, Maury Clutchburn in 14th, and Martin Carrix Jr. rounding out the top 15, with Jack the Post finishing 16th this race, just ahead of Billy Carjoy, Arthur Carstro, Kyle Carson, and Floyd Mulvihill. Kurt Buschtire will earn 100 points this race. He is followed by Carl Clutchin, Marcus Kranksler, Todd Marcus, and Chip Gearings, all finishing the race. Ace Arrowhead and Ryan Thunderbolt Jr. would wreck out, and this is Lightning McQueen's first DNF of the season. And unfortunately, here are all the cars that were unable to finish the race. Ernie Gearson was out on lap 137 because of yet another engine failure. A lot of these cars also made their first start this season in this race. I feel bad for the cars that wrecked out. And here is the top 20 in points with a major upset. Cal Weathers has taken the points lead from Lightning McQueen. And here is the top 10, where Brick Yardley has made his way into the top 10, just ahead of Phil Tankson, Kyle Carson, and Casey Corner, who had a bad race this race. Brad Karslowski is still behind him in points. Carl Edwards, who missed this race, is still in the top 15 in points, but not for long. Same with the Rocket Ryan Newcar, who also had a season-ending crash. Billy Carjoy rounds out the top 20, keeping Joey Logierno out of the top 20.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Ricky Speedhouse Jr. had this to say after the race. What do you mean the Piston Cup is rigged? And who agrees with him? Nick Charger agrees with him. And we all know not to believe what Nick Charger says. And the next race of the 2016 Piston Cup season, the 8th race, will be coming out soon enough. And if this video reaches 100 likes, I will make a video about Nick Charger's whole career. Unfortunately, a decision made by Vladimir Putin back in 2022 is causing a lot of damage to a country. This country is Ukraine. The 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine has been going on for far too long. The Ukrainian people just wanted to live in peace and have freedom. But Vladimir Putin, the tyrant and bully, got in the way of this common dream. Currently, Vladimir Putin's tyranny rules around 1/5 of Ukraine's land. That includes Crimea, the Donbass, and parts of the Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Kherson oblasts. But Vladimir Putin isn't having everything going his way because of the Ukrainian attack into Russia's Kursk Oblast. But despite these gains, every day it gets harder for Ukraine to win the war. We here at the KA Bullets Piston Cup YouTube channel stand with Ukraine in their struggle against Vladimir Putin's tyranny and also recognize Ukraine's true borders as shown by this map. Slava Ukrainie, Heroyam Slava! Nechai Shvitsya Daroratsya, Ukrainie Permoa! Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. May Ukraine be granted victory very soon.